If you're looking for a way to easily create virtual choir videos for your church, you've come to the wrong place. Yeah, this is going to be hard. Sorry. Welcome to Mina Studio. My name is Nathan. With me as always is my choir director, Ronald. He's back there. He's blurry. Kind of like a Sasquatch. Today we're going to look at creating a virtual choir video in Final Cut Pro. So I recently created one of these for Central Christian School, the grade school I lead worship at on Fridays. The sixth graders of that school typically sing this song at their graduation. Unfortunately, this year, for obvious reasons, they weren't able to do that. So all the teachers got together and they sang the song for them. We put it together in a virtual choir video and then sent it out to all the graduating sixth graders online.
Shalom, shalom, shalom to you. May peace be with you, my friend.
So we're going to use Final Cut Pro today, and I'll show you how I put it together. If you're more familiar with After Effects, you should go check out Practical Worship with Dave Dolphin. He put out a video on how to create a virtual choir in After Effects, and I think he has a free After Effects template you can download as well. So go check that out. It's probably far easier than what I'm going to do here today, but I don't really have time to learn After Effects. It's on my list. I really want to. It's like right behind learn French and memorize the Bible. Next thing right after this. But I didn't have time to learn After Effects right now, so I used Final Cut Pro, which I already know how to use. And it worked well, and it took forever. By forever, I mean about 12 hours total, which honestly, for a complicated video, isn't that much time. You are going to need to dedicate a large chunk of time to create this virtual choir video, but it's going to look awesome. And sound awesome too, obviously, although that's less in my control and more in your singers. Step one, of course, is to get all the videos. So you're going to need to send out some sort of track or video for people to sing along with. In our case, we had an instrumental track, and the music teacher at the school recorded a video of herself kind of choir directing over this track. You're going to need some way to keep everybody together on the same key, so you will need some sort of backing track to send out to everybody, and then they'll need to use headphones and sing along with it. They have to use headphones because you don't want that backing track to bleed into the video's audio. You want to add that in later so it's nice and clean. I would also make sure you specify to them how to shoot the video, which apparently you have to do nowadays because everybody wants to shoot their videos vertically. Alright, it doesn't really matter. It's whatever you want to do. But tell them, we need a horizontal or we need a vertical, or it doesn't matter because we're going to have both on the screen. And you also might want to specify a recording standard. We did not do this because I didn't actually foresee it being a problem, which it ended up being. The problem was two of the people somehow managed to record their videos in 25p, which isn't even American standard, I don't think, and 32 kilohertz audio, which I've never seen a phone recorded before, but that caused huge issues. That 32 kilohertz audio ended up being like an entire measure of the song behind by the end of the video, so I had to do some time adjustments with those. So make sure everyone knows to record in, say, 1080p, frames per second. You can specify if you want to, not a big deal since you're putting them all together, and then make sure they're recording in 44 or 48K audio at least. Should be standard on most phones and cameras, but you never know. So now that we have all those beautiful singing videos, we need to organize them and plan how to use them. So we're going to create a base canvas to use in our video. It's going to be a template with squares on it that tell us exactly where the videos go. I created mine in Photoscape X, worked pretty well. You can really create this in any program that you can add boxes to and organize them. You could do it in PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, although that'd be a bit difficult. You could do it in Apple Pages, you could do it in Photoshop. Any software, you can just create boxes, move them around, and make a template. I'll show you mine in Photoscape. So here is my template. Since you're probably going to want to create this video in 4K, you want your template at least 2500 pixels wide. You're going to delete it later, so it's not a huge deal. But so mine is like 6000 pixels wide. I always go too big. What are you going to do? It's just a large black background, and then all these gray boxes are just single boxes. So we got all our videos in, and we ended up with 20 videos, which is a lot. So we kind of planned and looked and see what we got to put in. We knew we needed at least one vertical because someone was doing sign language and we couldn't crop it. We also needed one really long one because they had signs on the wall behind them that needed to be read. I'll assume with your video, like mine, most videos can just be cropped however you want them. You just need a head in the video, which can be whatever aspect ratio you want. So the biggest thing is to look for any that need to be a certain width or height, add those in first, and then fill in the rest of the spaces with whatever shape or aspect ratio works. So each of these gray spaces is for a video, obviously. So once we get this in Final Cut Pro, we'll be able to crop and place our videos without a lot of guessing. Once you finish this, you just want to export it as a large JPEG file, and then we'll move over to Final Cut Pro and get to the nitty-gritty. And here we are in Final Cut Pro. Terrified yet? Wait, don't leave yet. It is exactly as complicated as it looks. We have 20 videos. There's a lot going on here. And putting this part of the video together is going to be the majority of our time spent. Our goal here is just to get all of the voices in and synced and cropped to the right place, so that we can then export a single video file that contains all of the videos and voices. That'll make our life much easier later to add titles and corrections and all that sort of thing. So the first thing we're going to do is drag in our template image. That's going to be the first thing we put in. When you do that, it'll probably ask you what sort of format do you want this project to be in. You probably want a 4K file since you have so many video files going into this. Just gives you a bigger canvas to work with. So after we have our template file in as our base canvas, if you will, then we're going to add in our audio track, our backing track. We're going to add this in so we can sync all these together, and then once we export it, we'll get rid of that audio track so we just have voices. So here I have my Shalom recording track right under my base canvas. If you have those two things, then you're ready to start adding the actual singing videos. So you can see here in my file browser, I have all the teachers videos in a single folder. I just dragged this full singing folder to the Final Cut event, and it created its own kind of subset of videos in Final Cut. We started with one person, then added two more, then two more, then three more, then four more, so it kind of built into a large choir. If you're going to do that sort of thing, you should plan earlier who will be first, who has the best voice, who is leading it, etc. Then we're ready to add our first singer. So here's sort of the process you'll do with every video you add. The first thing you'll do is drag the video into the timeline. So we'll drag our first singer's movie in right there. So you can see there we have her video, just large on the screen. Obviously not how we want it to end up. I didn't really add much video correction or audio correction to the individual videos unless they really needed it, because it was fine just looking like a bunch of cell phone videos. Everybody knew that's exactly what it was, and it looked great that way. So I didn't color correct. I didn't really audio correct at all unless it desperately needed it. I did do some color correction later on that single video file, but we'll get to that. So now we need to sync up our audio. Since you can't hear any of the music in the video, it's a bit difficult. It's also a bit difficult because singing is not very percussive as opposed to, guitar playing or drums, obviously, piano. So it's harder to see in the waveform where notes start and stop. So a good tip is to pick a percussive word on a prominent beat. Pick a percussive word on a prominent beat. For me, I picked the word two because two is always percussive, and it was on a one, so I knew everybody was more likely to hit it right on the beat they needed to. So that gave me something to see in the waveform, and then I synced all of the videos up to that two, and it worked out very well. So I'm going to zoom in If you don't know where zoom in is, it's a little symbol right here. I'm going to zoom in both up and down and side to side so I can see the waveform better. Bump up the audio so again I can see the waveform better. And here you can see her waveform of her singing. So I'm just going to trim off all this silence at the beginning. You can just do that by grabbing the beginning of the clip and dragging. So we'll just listen to the audio. See what we get. Alright. So we know we need her around here. On this audio track you can hear there is a lead piano part, which makes it easier because I can kind of sync up their vocals to the lead piano part. Alright, so if I play that, you should hear that lead piano part and her singing along with it.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Sounds pretty good. Alright, so we got our first video synced to the audio. That'll help us immensely with the future videos. Now we need to scale the video down, crop it, and put it in the right place on our template. So how we do this is we want to transform and then crop. Transform is this little button right here. If you do not know, click that and you'll see a box with dots around the video, and then you can just grab one of the edges and drag it and make it smaller. So I am going to make the video fit vertically about the right size. That looks pretty good. Then I'm just going to kind of place it on top of that square where I want your video to be in. And then I will crop so it fits exactly in that box. So you can crop two ways. One way is to switch over here to crop instead of transform. You can certainly do that, but I found it easier just to use these crop sliders here on the side. So those are in your video effects panel on the side. I also found it was nice to zoom in on this like so. If you need to move around your image, there's a little red box over here. See where my hand is? You can drag that where you want it. So now I just crop how I want, bring this in and out. So left, I just want to match it to the gray. That's pretty good. Right, same thing. And there we go. Doesn't have to be exact because we're going to delete this template and you won't see any of the gray boxes in the end. You're just trying to get the videos to look even. Top down like so. And bottom, I believe, is already, yep, in the right place. So there we go. Click done when you got it right. We got our first video cropped and in where we need to go. You can see how this would be very difficult without a template. Much easier when you know exactly where the video should go. So finally, we just want to crop our clip to exactly where we want it to pop into the video. And then we are done. So I'll play it and see if it's how I want it. Yep, that's exactly what I want. So we've got our first video done. One down, 19 to go. So this is the process you're going to do every time. Just got to do that 19 more times. We're good to go. It'll take no time at all, like 8 hours. So I'm not going to show you me doing this with all 20 videos. I can show you bringing the next one here. Did the same thing.
Shalom to you. May peace.
Then same thing. Adding 2 more. So as you add more and more videos, you'll have to adjust the audio levels a bit. I found that as I brought more people in, I needed to bring down the beginning people lower and lower because they needed to be pretty high in the beginning since they were the only voice carrying it. But then as more people came in, the volume just started going up. So as I brought down the volume of those beginning people, and it kind of evened everything out. If you don't know how to do audio automation in Final Cut, it's actually fairly easy. You want to go to your audio waveform and then hold down the Option key and click where you want your fade to start. Then find where you want your fade to end. Same thing. Hold down Option and then click. And you'll get these 2 little points. And then you just bring down one of them. And that'll create an audio fade for you. And you can create more points and more points to go up and down. You also have to adjust the individual volumes to get a nice blend of everybody. There aren't really any secrets to this. You just got to play around with the levels of all of the videos. I didn't actually have to do a lot. As I brought them in, they kind of evened out well. I did just kind of bring everybody up to a similar volume level on the waveform. So I just kind of looked at how high their waveform was and brought them up higher. And then I just listened to whichever voices were standing out or which ones I couldn't hear at all, brought them up and down until it was a nice blend. Now let's talk about a few issues you may have. You might have a video that's just really dark or really bright. If that's the case, you can just go to this symbol here, and that's your color correction. And then at exposure, you can adjust how the video looks. This is your mids, your lows, and your highs, as you can see there on that top video. You also may have a video that's volume is just too low to hear even when turned all the way up. If that's the case, you want to go to your audio effects, which is this little button right here. We'll bring out this audio effects pop-up. You can go down to audio and then levels. And then you can either add a compressor, which will compress the audio, or you can just add gain, which is basically another volume knob to bring it up or even higher. So you just grab that and drag it to whichever video you want it on. And then you go to this audio effects panel over here. You'll see gain. And click on this button right here. That'll bring up your control window. And you can add some volume up or down with this gain knob. So you really should only need that if you have a video that the audio is just too low to hear even when bumped all the way up. And finally, hopefully you won't have this issue, but if you do have any videos sent in the wrong format, like 32K, you will need to adjust those. The two videos we got in 32K did not work at all audio-wise because it's such a different sample rate that by the time we got to the end of the song, they were like an entire measure behind. So you'll actually need to squash those clips or speed them up. Since I wasn't speeding them that much, it didn't seem to affect the audio key or anything. If you speed them up too much, then you'll get the high-pitched mouse voice, like you get with the speeding up video. You know what I'm talking about. Didn't seem to affect it too much. So to do that, you want to click on the clip you need to adjust. Then you go up top to modify and then retime. Then you'll see slow or fast. We need to speed ours up a bit. There's only 2x option. I just grab 2x and then I bring it out. So you can see it shrunk the clip way down here because it sped it up. Just going to drag this arrow out until I get to the end of the song. So as you do this, you'll kind of need to resync the audio. So I'll find a note that I want to sync at the end like so. Go back, check all the points of the audio, see if it's syncing or not. I found that for a video that was shot with 32 kilohertz audio, I needed it sped up to about 104%. So you can see here it says 102. I needed about 104. So that can be a starting point for you. You can drag it out to 104, sync back up the audio, and then make sure it's not lagging behind at any point. Hopefully you won't have to deal with that problem. You'll get everybody to record the videos in the right audio sample rate. Hopefully. All right, so it's been like 4.5 weeks since you started editing, and you finally got all the videos in and audio synced up. Now, maybe, like I did, you want to do a similar thing at the end as you did at the beginning, where people jump out, not all at the same time, but one at a time. If you want to do that, simple, you just drag the end of the clip like this to wherever you want it to cut out. The only tricky part here is that when the video cuts out, obviously the audio cut out, and it won't sound very good if audios just jump out like in the middle of lines. If you're doing it after the music is ended, then it won't matter if there's no more sound. But if they're kind of jumping out as the singing's still happening, you're probably going to want their audio to stay in to keep that choir sound. So what I did is I expanded the audio. So you can right click, expand audio, or you can just hit Control S, and you'll see her actual audio waveform will separate from her video. It's not actually separated, it's still connected. You can just see it. And then I can drag the end of her audio in and out. So that way I can keep her audio going while her video cuts out. And then I'll also add a fade on the end of their audio. Now you do that is, if you click on the end of the audio, you'll see a little dot and two left and right arrows. You just click and drag that back and it'll automatically add a fade out to your audio. Yep, you have to do that with all 20 videos as well. This is why this takes a while. And that was it. We were done. We were good to go. You can see here I actually added a title. That's because I wanted a title to appear behind the videos as they went out, which obviously I couldn't do once it was a single clip. So I added that in here. But if you don't need any special behind the clip titles, then you're pretty much done. So go through, check all of the video, make sure they're synced, make sure they're exactly how you want them. And then once you're ready to export, you have two small steps. Number one, you want to add a black background over your template. You don't want to delete your template because that's your base canvas. If you press delete on the template, all of your videos will be deleted. Don't do that. We're just going to add black on top of it so we don't see it anymore. So to do that, you're going to go to the title area of Final Cut Pro right here, down to generators, down to solids, and then custom will be black. So I'll just drag that in right there, the level right over my template, and I'll drag that all the way out to the, into the video. Whoa, that was too far. Check that you don't see any template at the end when it stops or at the beginning when it starts. Nope. So now our template is gone. And we just have a black background, so when people pop in, they'll pop in on a black background, like so. Step 2 before you export is delete the audio track. Delete the audio track. We do not want that in there because when you have our single clip, we're going to mute the entire choir clip during musical breaks, so we don't get any background noise. Obviously, if you have your music recording in with that, you're going to mute the recording too, and you don't want that. So just delete our music recording, and then we are good to export. You're going to go here to this share button on top. Apple devices 4K. If you're using 4K, which I would recommend, you can add your title and such, and then click on settings here. I always go with better quality, and then you want to make sure your resolution is set to right here, 4K. And next, and you'll have a final 4K video with just your singers exported. All right, we've done it. The hard part is over. Now we can do the satisfying part of putting together our entire final video. So let's do that. All right, so the first thing you want to do is drag that newly created 4K choir clip into a new project in Final Cut Pro. It should automatically make the project in the right settings, 4K, right frame rate, etc. You'll drag it in and that will become your new timeline. It will not look like mine. I messed up and had to re-import stuff. So yours will be right here where this grayed out video is. I added another on top of mine to edit it, but you won't see that. So yours will be right here, this grayed out. So add in your video and then add your audio track back in and resync the audio. Much easier this time because everybody's already synced. You just got to sync the audio up with the singing. So you've got your new 4K clip in, you've got your audio back in. Honestly, that's all the necessary steps. Now you just might want to add some extras like titles and fade outs and such. But if you just want a simple video, you got it. They wanted a long title, kind of a note to the graduate students, so I added that at the beginning. You may want to add titles as well. Our video intro was not long enough, so I just added a new black screen right there. Did that the same way we added the black screen before. Then I added my title in. Again, if you don't know how to add titles, same place, your title screen up here. Go to whichever category you want and just drag the title into the timeline right there. And then you edit it here on the side where you see this little text T. I won't go into details about how to create titles in Final Cut. Lots of videos on that on YouTube. And since we started with a black screen and ended with a black screen, we don't really need to add any fade-ins or fade-outs. There's nothing to fade in or fade out to. You can also add a title at the end. We did that previously because I needed it behind everything else. Another thing you may want to do now is to zoom in to certain parts of the video or pan or effects like that. So if we want to just zoom in to separate parts of the video, all we're going to do is crop the video. So you need to find where you want your video to be zoomed in, and then you want to cut your video right there. So click on your video, You can hit Command B is your blade if you want to cut. And then go through and cut your clip wherever you want a different section to come up. I cut it into 4 parts so I could zoom into the 4 different quadrants of the video. So now I've got 4 cut clips here. So now just click on the section you want to zoom in on or crop. And then we'll go down to here, that little arrow next to the transformer crop symbol, and we'll go to crop. And you'll see our crop come in. You can use the sliders on the side like we did before, or you can just drag. I'm just going to drag. So I want it to crop on these 4 people here. So just set it to crop. Done. And then we need to transform so we can bring it out to full screen again. Done. And now we have part of our video zoomed in, so you'll see it jump to that zoomed in section. You could also add a crossfade if you like. I actually liked how it looked just jumping at this point, but you can add a crossfade. Here you can see me jumping from different points. So I clicked on that section, that section, etc. So I jumped around to close-ups of each quadrant of the video. Quadrant, that sounds Star Trek-y. So I really like how those jump arounds look. You can also pan around the video using Final Cut's built-in Ken Burns effect. It's a little corny. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little corny, but I mean, virtual choir videos are kind of a bit corny by nature anyway. So you can also do this effect with keyframes and make it more precise, but that takes a lot more time. I'm just going to show you how to do it the easy way with the Ken Burns effect. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to cut our video however we want to zoom and fade and all that stuff. So here I've cut where I want to pan across, and then you're going to go to crop like you did before. But this time at the bottom, you're going to select Ken Burns. Ken Burns right here. And then you'll see 2 boxes. You'll see this green box and you'll see the red box. The green box is where your video starts. The red box is where the video will end. So position those however you want to. Green section around where you start, red where you end. You can really drag anywhere to anywhere. I had mine just pan from one side to the other. You can see that here.
Shall these come to you? Peace be with you, my friend. Shall these come to you?
So that can add a little interest to your final video. Also, one of the reasons we needed to create a single video clip of all the people to do this, because you couldn't have done this with all those 20 video clips. We needed a single video clip to be able to zoom in and out and cut to different points. We also had people holding signs here, as you can see. I'm going to assume you probably won't have that. If you do, you simply drag the images in, add a black background behind them, crop them to whatever size you want. Then the final thing I did is I did do some color correction and sharpening on the final video. Most of these people shot with iPhones, and for some reason iPhones love to be orange, so I did cool down the video a bit, brought up the light level a bit because it was a bit dark, and added some sharpening. I would recommend adding some sharpening, especially if it's a 4K video. Not a lot, just a little bit, and maybe doing a little cool down because most cameras shoot pretty warm. Again, I just used a built-in color board you can see here on my main video, and then added sharpening. That's found in the same place you found those audio effects. You go to video effects, blur, and then sharpen. I know sharpens and blur, I guess because it's the opposite of blur. I don't know. So check your video, see if it's exactly how you want it, and then you're done. 27 hours later, you're done. Export it, you got your virtual choir video. Whew, we did it. I told you it'd be long and it'd be hard, but to be honest, I'm not sure there's any easy way to put together 20 people singing a song in video form. But I think it looks awesome. I think it sounds great. And these are untrained singers. These are teachers, no offense, Central teachers. But I mean, half of them sent me their videos and were like, "Could you please just mute mine? I don't want to say. I don't like how I sound." But they sound great. They all sound great. You put 20 people together in a choir and it covers a lot of flaws. I'm not saying you guys had a lot of flaws. Nobody said that. Nobody said you have flaws. You're perfect. Perfect teachers. So this is a long process. You got to do a lot of things over and over again. Honestly, once you get the hang of it, it's actually not too difficult. Just takes a while. If you have any questions or if you have any better ways to do this, which I'm sure there are, please leave them in the comments below. Everybody making virtual choir videos would love to know your tips and tricks on how to get it done easier. I do hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please subscribe to Mina Studio to see more videos like this. And I'd like to leave you now with the full virtual choir video we just created. Enjoy.
Shalom, shalom, shalom to you. May peace be with you, my friend, my friend. Shalom, shalom, shalom to you. May peace be with you, my friend. May peace be